Formula 4 Championship was finally racing at the Chennai Formula Racing Circuit in the heart of the city. A night race on the streets of Chennai.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the series. If you're new, this is the series where I recap all of my races in the Indian F4 Championship. You're joining me here in Chennai for India's first ever night straight race. Alright, so the Chennai Formula Street Circuit is a 3.8 km straight track located on the island grounds in Chennai. It has 19 corners, and this year it hosted India's first ever night straight race, which meant it was a new track for us all to learn. It was my first ever straight track along with most of the other drivers in the field, so it was really interesting and fun getting used to a track that didn't have as much grip as what most of us would have been used to. The first 4 corners of the lap are 4 90-degree corners which lead you onto a straight, making turn 4 really important to maximise your exit speed. Turn 5 is a really hard braking zone going into a left-hander which leads you onto the back straight. Then we've got another braking zone into a chicane which leads you onto one of the ballsiest corners of the track, which is a left-right, which leads us onto another straight. Turns 10 and 11 are some of the hardest on the track because the braking zone for turn 11 is while you're turning into turn 10. You also reach the lowest speed of the track at this corner at just over 50 km an hour. Now we are led on to a set of high-speed chicanes. Now we've got another chicane which you can practically straight line. This leads us onto our final corner, which is a tight blind left-hander, which leads us onto the back straight. If you haven't seen the first episode already, I suggest you check it out because it goes all into detail about all the issues I had in round 1. Long story short, they gave me a new chassis for round 2 because I had some fuel pump issues in round 1 that they couldn't resolve. So instead of racing for Goal Aces, I've been racing for Godspeed Kochi 6. Unfortunately for this round though, as you can see in the bottom left corner, I had some issues with the accelerator, causing me only to get 80% throttle when I was going flat out. It got worse and worse as the session progressed, and I only got this lap in, which was only good enough for P11. This is how my throttle trace looked like on my final flying lap. I was only reaching 60% throttle. I could feel a delay in the accelerator as I was applying the power, but I had no idea that I was only getting 60% throttle until I came into the pits and we checked it. Now I'm on my way to the pits and I'm telling my mechanic exactly the issues that I have so we can hopefully solve it before Q2.
My throttle has a delay. What? My throttle has a delay. Yeah. My throttle has delay.
Unfortunately, in between the 2 sessions, we didn't have enough time to check if there was an issue or not, so I got sent out with 60% throttle. At the start, I could already feel the issue and the massive disadvantage I had against the other cars. As we got further and further along this lap, the issue only started to get worse, so by the end of the lap I was getting 56% throttle. This is probably the best way to put it into perspective for you. Look how easily this car breezes past me on the straight. Luckily for me, there was a red flag that same lap because another car had hit the barrier. I thought that meant that I could sort out the issue with my engineers, but unfortunately we didn't have enough time to fix the problem, so that meant it was the end of my session and that I was starting from P15, second last for the second race.
And in race 1, it was Hugh Bartlett of Australia who had pole position and a good run at the start.
So my initial launch at the start wasn't actually that bad. I was just being really cautious into turn 1 because I knew there was a big possibility of there being a crash in the first corner. Luckily the boys were able to somewhat fix the problem that I had with the accelerator, so it was really good to have 100% throttle again for the first time in this weekend. Our first safety car of the race came as a car behind me crashed at the exit of turn 5. After about 3 laps under safety car conditions, the race finally resumed. On the restart, I was able to make the most of it and get a pass done on the car in front. I was able to make another move after another driver made a mistake, bringing me up to provisional P9. Unfortunately, after braking a little bit too early into this corner in an attempt to save tyres, I got passed, which put me into provisional P2 in rookies. Coming into turn 19 on this lap, I never would have expected this. These two cars were parked right on the exit of what is the tightest corner by far of this circuit. I was very lucky to avoid them both. Because this crash happened towards the end of the race, it meant we had to finish under safety car conditions, which meant I came home in P7, 4 places up from my starting position and scoring my first points in the championship, and also P2 in rookies. Okay guys, so race 2. Unfortunately, due to the issues that we faced in qualifying 2, I was starting from P15. Unfortunately, I had a really bad launch off the grid, so I got jumped on the start, which put me down to P16. However, I was able to make a pass into turn 1, so I was back to P15 where I started. I was able to make another move on the exit of turn 4, which put me up to P14. Then into turn 5, I went for a really ballsy move and dived on my way into P13.
quickly caught up to the car in front, however it took me a long time to get past, which ended up hurting my race. I was so much quicker than the car in front, however I just could not line up and move. And every lap I was stuck behind was only letting the cars in front pull away and hurting my chances of getting the perfect comeback and making it into the points. Good run out of turn 9, and it looks like I'm going to make the move around the outside of this car. However, I have to back out because there's a yellow flag because someone had overshot the corner and hit the barrier. After about 4 or 5 laps of being stuck behind this car, I went for a ballsy move into turn 1. After I passed the last car, the gap to the cars in front was 14 seconds because I was getting held up that much. I ended up getting the gap down to 5 seconds, however the gap was too big for me to catch up and pass before the end of the race. After a few more laps and my camera deciding it needs to see an optometrist, there was a safety car because someone had crashed on the exit of turn 5. Because this incident happened towards the end of the race would end under safety car conditions again for the second time this weekend. I was lucky enough to come home in P10, 5 places up from my starting position and 13 rookies.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. That pretty much sums up my weekend. It was a really interesting one and I learned so much with it being my first ever street race as well as my second ever weekend in cars after moving up from grey cars. I'd just like to thank MP Motorsport for all their support all weekend as well as Indian F4 for this amazing opportunity. I'll see you guys at round 3, which will be back at the Madras International Circuit. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy what you've seen.